Welcome to Table Talks, and I am glad you're here. Hi, I'm Janell, working teen, and I am your host. And today we are sitting down with Brightman. He is a certified trainer with the Maxwell Leadership Team, best-selling author and host of Going North podcast, a podcast committed to featuring authors from around the world to promote the power of the written word and inspire listeners to publish books on their own. His mantra is advance others to advance yourself. Wow, how about that? So we're sitting down and we're diving right in. I want you to go grab your coffee, go grab your tea, and join us. He's bringing to the table for us, he's done this. He's been successful in creating podcasts and building an audience. And what does it take in general to build something from scratch? He gives and shares his 5 C's, which I took notes on, and I think you're going to enjoy it too. So go get your coffee and tea and join us. I like it. So you have in your taglines on your Facebook, not Facebook, on your web page, you've got advance others to advance yourself. And I'm like, advance others. So like polar opposite of so many spaces that we exist in. It's a lot of the spaces we exist in are more like crabs in a bucket. Like you just get ahead and then someone wants to jerk your leg and bring you back down to the bottom. So I'm reading that and I'm going, advancing others to advance yourself. I'm like, yes. So I would like to know, I'm curious, if you would share with us, like, were you just born that way? Or what inspired or brought you to that place?
Actually, that's the best way someone actually asked me about the tagline, indeed, because the thing is, advance others to advance yourself. That philosophy, I'm all about helping other people, and there was tendencies as a mini Dom growing up, but I wouldn't say it wasn't as refined until I got to my early 20s after reading a bunch of personal development books and just catalyzing and crystallizing mantra. So I'd say the raw material was there,
Mm.
but like having it as a tagline definitely wasn't. And you're so right. Nowadays, everybody wants to get ahead. The saying is secure the bag, and sometimes by any means necessary. It's like, okay, I get it. Folks need to live and all, but really, even though it's the long game, like I still try to keep the long game in mind for my life when it comes to really just being around other people and really just trying to generate success. Because the thing is, one of my mentors, John C. Maxwell, he mentions that he rather has friends than fans because fans can turn on you in an instant. They can be fanatical in the way. Friends, true friends, they can see you and be like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in ages." Like, "Oh my gosh, there you are," and it's just a little shift of thought, just like that, of really focusing on helping other people and good karma coming back to you. It's happened in the lives of others, and it's happened in my own life where I would actually look out for other people. And next thing I know, folks would really support me in return. It's like the good old that heck, there's even a bit of psychology to it. It's like the whole I scratch your back, you scratch mine, but it's not really that way. Because sometimes you may get really a blessing down the road because heck, even an example, it's even mentioned in my first book, Going North, about how Magic Johnson, his rookie year, he was finished with the game with the rest of the team, and a kid wanted an autograph from another player. And the player, I guess they lost the game that day. He wasn't in the mood for giving or signing autographs or whatever. And the kid was crying, and Magic came over, smiled with the kid, got him to stop crying, signed his stuff, took a picture with them, and didn't think nothing of it. And after his NBA career was over and he wanted to focus more on entrepreneurship, he had to negotiate with someone who was known for being a stickler for time. And he showed up early that day to make sure he was on time. And the guy who was in charge of this piece of real estate ended up being the same guy who was the father to that child who eventually grew up to be a successful lawyer. So magic showed up decades early in advance to that meeting that day that he was able to seal the deal. So it's really all
See?
about just having that good moment and living
Yeah.
a good life right there.
And legitimately so, because it's not about, oh, I'm going to help you because you're going to help me. There is a different feel, a different intention, and that's so feelable, isn't it? It's palatable when someone's coming to you and saying, I'm going to help you just because, you know what, that's what I do, and this is something I can do for you. And that sets in motion a whole other feeling, an elevated energy, if you will, a whole other platform. And I feel like this crab in the bucket thing is really representing there's not enough. There's not enough for you. There's not enough for me. Therefore, I got to take you out or play this game to move forward. And I think as we're building whatever it is, if that, and we can hold on to that mindset that there is enough. There's a lot, isn't there? Way more than we can even wrap our minds around. So look, yeah. And if we're there, I don't want to get down the rabbit hole, but that your statement just really touched me. And I went, yes, there is so much. We just can't even wrap our minds around it. We can help. And then that does ripple out and ripple back just because it does. Yeah. And what a great community maker that is, isn't it? If you want to change something, there you go. Put that out there. All right. Nice. You have 5 C's to express. Let me get my writing. Explosive growth. I can read my writing. 5 C's to explosive growth. And we're talking about growth. And what a great way to launch that by saying, well, let's start with the principle of helping each other grow. And now the 5 C's over to you. Talk us through that.
Sure thing. And really glad you invited me to be on the show because usually this is probably one of the high demand topics, explosive growth. It's like, man, like there's a lot of growth in my waistline, but rather in my business and my life. So how the heck do I get that explosive growth? And it really starts with the first C, known as curiosity. Because the thing is, those who are elite performers at the top of their game, those who really get the most out of life, are those who have inquisitive minds, those who are always asking what's next after victory, of course, celebrating the victory first before you really move on to the next thing, and just starting from the wonderful brains that we have. Because one of the major things that we can ask ourselves is, how can I? And just those 3 words alone, just really getting deep within yourself and realizing, all right, let's say if I wanted to start a successful podcast, well, let alone starting a podcast in general, how do I do that? Oh, let me listen to Janell and see what she's doing. I know she is a wonderful thought healer, not just a thought leader. Like, that's a nice little spin on what she's doing. She's got a YouTube page. It's like all these other podcasters, they may have a YouTube page if they decide to have video content. A lot of podcasters are consistent. They are really personalities. They try to entertain, if not edutain, if they go for the education route, and just figuring out where you want to start, and then continuing with that wonderful curiosity journey of then asking, hey, how can I add more value to more people in less time? And another way to do that is to really not only start a podcast, launch it, keep going with it as long as you'd like, but also to really write, because a classic quote from Benjamin Franklin is that writing leads to wealth. And the thing was, even my first life coach, or at least the first one that I invested in my 20s, mentioned that to me because he wrote a bunch of blogs and he improved them over time. And that eventually got his foot in the door to do more speaking engagements as a motivational speaker and a life coach, and to even share some of his past work on big websites like entrepreneur.com, all because he decided to put pen to paper and put his thoughts out there, live out those thoughts, and actually improve upon them. So it really starts out with curiosity, like asking yourself, how far can I go? Like really being curious about yourself, being curious about others, and just really accumulating knowledge on what you really want to gain out of life, or heck, how can you just get to that next level you want to go to?
Yeah. And thanks for saying he improved on it. He wrote it, he got it out there, and then he improved on it. And I feel like in this stage, that can be a real stumbling block for moving forward. Oh my gosh, is that good enough? And the perfection of whatever perfection is, right? That made up thing we have in our mind. And it's like, no, just get it out there. So thanks for saying that. I'm just going to put a highlight on that. Yes, get it out there. It'll improve as you go.
Yes, indeed. Because you're so right. Because like in a year or two from now, if you decide to continue with your show, you're gonna be laughing at yourself and be maybe even cringe and be like, "Man, that Janelle from last year, like, man, she
See
sucks
her?
compared to me this year."
Exactly. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yep.
That's
Okay.
right, indeed. Oh yes, indeed. So, and another thing about improvement is commitment. That's C number two, commitment. Committing to starting, because the thing is, you can be curious all day. That's a wonderful state to be in, always asking questions, being curious, inquisitive about your environment, questioning your environment, maybe even doing checkup on your beliefs. But you have to act from that place eventually, because you don't want to get the good old information constipation or paralysis by analysis from all of the info. And that's actually one of the things that has actually been one of my weak points, because I've worked in the library for over 16 years, and I'm known to really have a lot of books and read a lot of books. My podcast is about interviewing other authors, so I'm going to be diving into their content. And it's like sometimes it feels like, oh, I'm gathering so much information. But the thing is, you can't stay in the curiosity phase all day, questioning, sometimes being a philosopher without being a producer. So this is the producing phase of explosive growth. You commit to start, you learn to ship with what you have. And that's one of the things that has helped me in the past with my first book. When I look back on my writing journey now, like my first book was the quickest book to being finished, because I was still green. I had a beginner's mindset and I had a deadline, because a deadline puts a dead end on procrastination. And I had a year to get it done, and I got it done within 10 months, all because I gave myself a deadline and I didn't know what I was doing. And I went with what I have. And you just have to really go for that excellence as opposed to perfection. Because the thing is, excellence is about being the best you can be today, and that's going to change tomorrow and
Yeah.
next week and next month and next year. And you're feeling like, man, it's been freaking 3 years. Like, what happens the past 3 months? So it's all about getting started.
And getting comfortable with that process. Yeah. And you said you've had, that information constipation. I love that one. But it's very real. And
It
when
is
you don't know, when you're new and you're looking and you're getting all this information, and this is a question for you. So you get all this information out there and you're like, okay, what do I do with that? How did you whittle it down? Because you're a reader, you're an author, you have an impressive list. We're going to read that list off here in a minute. You have some great books out there for people to plug into. And how did they choose from all that's out there?
really just it takes a lot, to be honest, because the thing was, with each book, it required a different me, and a different level of me. Because the first, that was a dare. It was written on a dare, and the second book had that actually came from a place of grief,
Mm,
because I was lacking some self awareness. Because at the end of the day, may think they can separate their personal and this third solo book I'm working on. This has been at the top was one of the most uphill, really, battles I've had to deal with, because the thing is, it's a informational book. it's an educational book. Yes, there's going to be an inspirational tone to the book, but things keep changing. It's about podcasting, which is ever growing. Like something that worked yesterday may not work next week. And
Mhm.
it's just having to deal with, all right, what are the main principles of how this is going to work and really get out there? And it goes back to the excellence thing. Sometimes you have to move forward. And also accountability helps out too, because I've told some friends in the
Mhm.
past of like, hey, I got this book that's going to be coming out and it's going to be coming out, I don't know, this year. And I had a colleague and my good buddy Robbie, who hopefully may even be listening to this, is the fact that he would always ask me, like at the day job, be like, hey, so Dom, how's the book coming along, week after week. And then a few months later, my man got promoted. What's the location? And then I don't know, I'm like, all right, good, he's got promoted. And then I get an email one day like, Dom, how's the book going on? I'm not like, dang gummit, I can't escape. And that was one of the things that helped me to really get to that next level. So really just sometimes even asking friends for help and holding you accountable and
Mhm.
just telling people about your goals. Because really, if the more people you tell, and the more you don't get it done, you're going to be feeling embarrassed after a while. I was like, oh, I said I was
Yeah.
going to do this thing, but I didn't do this thing yet.
Yeah, and you have to admit it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I guess I'm a hypocrite out here.
Yeah. Yeah. Darn it.
It's like hypnotherapist. Nah, it's hypocrite. I admit
Yeah, right,
it. No
right.
hypnotism today.
Yeah. Tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Hey, commitment. Love it.
Yes, indeed. And the next C, the third C, is definitely consistency. Because
Mm.
the thing is, curiosity is great. That's a great starting point. Commitment, you finally started. Next one is consistent. Are you going to keep at it? And this proved well for me in my life, especially with my show, because the thing is, if 6 to 12 months can really change your life if you work hard at something, especially if it's something that's really going to help benefit you and other people. Because the thing was, I started my show going north just to interview folks around the globe and, well, to be honest, around the US of A. It became the globe. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just do this thing and I'll start this to market my books. But I stuck with it for 6 months. I said an episode will be up every Thursday. And every Thursday kept my word. And then started getting these pitches from all these wonderful folks around the globe, like, hey, I got to collateral this book. Like, can you have one? It's like, okay, sure. It's like, hey, can you have this guy on your show? Sure. Hey, I saw your name somewhere. Can that be a sure? And I'm like, okay, this random black guy from Baltimore is popular on the internet somehow. What's going on? And one guy interviewed out in New Mexico was like, hey, I was like, dude, how the heck you find me anyway? Like, you're in New Mexico. I've never even been in New Mexico yet. And he's like, hey, Dom, your show is listed along with Brendan Burchard, Gretchen Rubin, and Lewis Howes, the top 10 self help
Oh,
podcasts in the world. And
wow.
I'm like, huh? Like, there's a list for these things, and how the heck am I on it? And it's all because of consistency. Put out the good content.
That's called putting your head down and just going, right?
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly.
What drives you though? What's driving this consistency for you? Because there's got to be a drive thing in there, doesn't there? Vision or something?
Got a good question. Definitely a good question. It it varies by person to person. It's definitely not money, that's for sure. Because if you try to start a podcast to make money, it's like, yeah, you can do it, but good luck. I didn't monetize until at least probably a year into the game, and I ain't even talking serious money. I'm just talking about, hey, buy a good, I don't know, 50, 100 books to sell to people. It's like, all right, cool. It's not like you can buy a brand new house and in 2023 economy. It ain't that
Right.
type of money yet. But yeah, for me, it's just the personal growth, really, because the thing is, and I have to give credit to Dave Jackson, host of the School of Podcasting, where he mentions that if you're going to start a podcast, interviewing others will expand your network.
Mhm.
If you do a podcast to share your content, you're building your influence. And the thing was, I was able to do both in a way because the thing is, being able to interview others and learn from others and having those great conversations, those before record and after record conversations, those have been some of the most enlightening pieces of information ever. I mean, yeah, the stuff during the record button when it's turned on, it's great too, but just the laughs and just the stories, and it's like, oh man, I probably should have kept the record button going, but it's like then again, they probably would have been so apprehensive subconsciously not to tell the story or us not laughing for an hour after the conversation. So just the personal growth aspect. Have even a tip for folks to take home with them is the victory log. I know there may be some folks, heck, like some folks may be spiritual, heard about the gratitude journal or just writing 3 things down that you're grateful for and all that wonderful stuff. But hey, how about you switch your thinking or shift your thinking and focus on calling it a win log where you
Mhm.
write down your wins for the day. Like the other day, someone actually reached out to promote something that I already had. Like, hey, one of the past authors has this wonderful book. Like, hey, if you put a link to this particular website that points them to this particular item, we'll pay you for it. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I'll take some spare change. Always up for some spare change. Hashtag abundance, not a crab in the barrel, because a crab in the barrel becomes a crab cake. And I don't want to be one of those. Let me enjoy life outside the barrel in the bucket.
Yeah, yeah, get out of that bucket. Throw the rest of rope.
Yeah, exactly. Come on out, fellas. We can all pose together for a selfie. In this
we
case, a
can do
crabby.
a, we can do a selfie. No, I got a picture of that. There was a whole line of crabs, claw over claw, and they're all out of the bucket. That gave me a good picture. Hmm.
Yeah, so personal growth. That's the driver. Just really growing because growth equals happiness. When you really take stock of
Yeah.
how far you've come, it can definitely be emboldening. You can feel stronger after that. It's like, oh wow. It's like just looking back on what you've created. It's like, oh yeah, that part. Yeah, oh good times. Yeah, good old end of the year reflection. I had a few goals I wanted to make. I wanted to get my next third book done and things like that. And I'm like, man, I didn't reach it. But when I look back on my production rate with the show, a lot of podcasts out there, they produce maybe, I don't know, 50 episodes in a lifetime if and they just like stop because of work and everything else. But I was able to upload over 170 completed episodes last year. And and I'm like, dude, I was able to do more than what most folks would do in a lifetime if we're talking about podcast years. And I'm like, that was just that shift of thinking of realizing, hey, even though I didn't win in every single area, I was able to really win in this one and focus in on that. And it's just really focusing at least on one major area where you can really dominate and be good at. So that's really what consistency is all about. Putting in so much work that you're consistently putting out content out there and you're always refining it. Like you're recording it, you're revising it, and you're releasing it. You're just
Yeah.
really putting yourself out there and getting better with time. That's really what consistency truly is all about.
Yeah, and it's I was listening to Jim Cathcart, a good friend of mine, and we
Woo-hoo.
yeah, great person. And he was saying go deep. Don't in the beginning, don't worry about going so wide, go deep. And I'm like, I think that's fitting into what you're saying. It's like you're gonna master every area the first time around, are we? It's master. You did 150 podcasts. Yeah, going deep. Going deep.
Yes, indeed. Didn't even have to be in a Shark Tank to be in the deep blue sea, huh?
I guess not. I'll just go to my picture. I'll go to Italy.
Oh was wondering where that photo was.
Yeah, it's a bucket list picture for me. Mm.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Well, sweet. Speaking of bucket list, I guess this next C will probably tie into that. And that fourth C is care. And it goes with care, especially for yourself and other people, but mostly yourself. Because the thing is, if you want growth, you have to take care of your body, your wonderful temple. And there are so many ways to do that. And of course, the good old mainstay of getting a good night's rest, your good old 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, especially uninterrupted if you can. So that way you'll do what's best for you and your body. Because if you don't get the sleep you need, you won't be as sharp. You'll be short with people. And if you're like me, especially in the late 2010s and sometime after COVID, or should I say during COVID, since it kind of really isn't over, sadly, is that when you don't get enough sleep, you'll gain weight as well. So it's like throwing your body off and not taking care of it. Like it also involves brain care. Like, what are you listening to? What are you watching? Who are your friends? Who are you, or even what are your conversations about? Are they conversation about growth, happiness, and being a better human, being better overall, and just bettering the planet? Or is it really just about gossiping and, or a popular term of gaslighting others and just trying to speak lies upon people or tell lies about others that really wouldn't benefit them or yourself? Because if you tell lies about other people, then they'll be like, okay, wow, that's one person I need to avoid. It's really about care for yourself, and that involves your environment as well. Like, I know that you call yourself a thought healer, and I'm sure equine therapy is one of your wonderful wheelhouses. And I was able to talk with other folks who've had that under their belt, like going on horseback riding. I'm sure that's something you can add to your care list, being out in nature. It's really all about taking care of yourself and your body so you can be the best version of yourself. So that way you can get the best version out of yourself for the world to see. So it's really, that's what care is really all about.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's powerful, isn't it? Because I remember I was in a lecture with John Maxwell, another great guy. And he was talking about, you've been around people that have a down button, and you're around and it just pushes your body, and you just go, "Argh," and it's just like it's a suck from your body, just losing all energy. And you're right, it's like, no, you help, we love, we reach out to people, but that inner circle, that's what charges us back up. We give back, they give to us, and you raise that's huge. That self-care in that way, and being aware of what am I putting in my body. Am I just eating junk food all the time? That is influential on how much energy we have, how much brain power we have. Our gut health influences our brain. And if you don't have a healthy gut system, you get brain fog, you get tired, lethargic, your immune system drops down to nothing. All these things play together. Yes, yes, for sure. Yeah. And the horses do. Yeah. Have to put a plug in for those horses. Those horses are amazing, Dom. Those guys, they have so much intuitive sense in what a person needs. A lot of the folks that work with us here, they don't know anything about horses, and you don't have to. But the horse knows. And I just find that fascinating, just for taking care of ourselves as a whole, because it's not just our brain, is it? It's our every part of us, our body, our emotional self, the whole piece of us. And dogs do it too. I don't know if you've been around dogs much, but they do that too, don't they? They know when you're sad. They'll come sit on your foot. Hey man, y'all good? Y'all good? So yeah, beautiful care in our whole surrounding. High five in this list. I am so I'm in. This is awesome.
She's in there like swimwear. I love it.
I am in. Yeah.
That's right, indeed. Well, I guess it's time for the thumb. And funny enough, I guess in kind of goes with the last with contribution, being all in and being a giver. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, it's great to create explosive growth for yourself and other folks, but the other folks part is the important part too, because it's really taking your gift and sharing with others. And heck, even pointing out this quote probably could have fit with care too, but that classic Jim Rohn quote of "I'll take care of me for you, and you take care of you for me" is really another reason why care is a part of explosive growth, because the better care you take care of yourself, the more you have to give for other people. And heck, even kind of circling this whole conversation together of advancing others to advancing yourself, it's really all about what you contribute to the world. Heck, even, and you probably figure that questions are a big thing for me, of just asking yourself, what good will I do today? When you wake up in the morning, or heck, even asking yourself that question before you go to bed, right before you go to sleep, so that way your brain can think of ways subconsciously of ways to do good for others on the earth, and reflecting on that good that you've done at the end of the day by asking, what good did I do today? Like a listening ear with somebody, calling someone you haven't called on in a while, like a friend, and not asking for anything, just catching up with them, seeing how doing. Heck, even giving to a charity. Heck, even maybe if it's if you're out and about and you may be at one of those restaurants or grocery store, they'd be like, "Hey, you want to round up for charity?" It's like, "All right, cool. I'll just go ahead and round up whatever." It's like if y'all legitimately doing some good, great. If you're doing something evil, well, hopefully I don't know about it. And just contributing to others.
It kind of goes to, it doesn't kind of, it does. It goes to that, what goes through you. It's like, don't let it be stopped here. Let it go through you. So if you're being a giver, you're creating a flow. What you give out comes circling around right back to you. Be that flow. Yeah, like just think of water. I see water going through a dam. Like you have some holding back, but man, let that go. Let that water flow through. Hmm.
I
There
guess
you
she's my blueberry. Is she my blueberry pie or cherry pie?
go.
Oh, good. All right, cool. You're still
We're
there.
good.
All
We're good.
right. I'm like, dang it, not the freezing again, no.
No, not the freeze. I always like to see what it freezes our faces in, though, because you're talking along and the freeze just picks its own time. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good look on you, Dom. That's good.
Yeah. Oh, the posterity for later. You'll love to see it.
5 C's, though, for explosive growth, and it's the consistency in going through those 5 C's, isn't it? Because what I'm feeling, tell me if I've got it, is that once you get to being a giver, you go right back to the first C, because now it's about being creative, about being a giver. Now it's about being consistent in that. Now it's about commitment to that. Actually, skip commitment. Now it's about consistency. Then it's about taking care of yourself, and back again. Did I get it? And there you grow.
Uh, by George, she's got it. She's
I
got
see.
it
And
with a
this
J
is
and a G.
so this isn't where it stops with you there, because I want to share with the audience here about you're an quite the author, and the information that people can plug into. So this is resonating with you. This is, I know it is with me. I want you to make sure and check out, listening audience, the other material that Dom has out there. So you've got Going North. There are tips and techniques to advancing yourself. Stay the Course, which is a follow-up book. Am I understanding that right? To the True North, or Going North?
She's on a roll.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
on a
Okay,
roll.
let's keep it going then. Stay the Course. And the Elite Performance 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. And you've been a contributing author to Crappy to Happy. So there's just a little glimpse of what else you guys can plug into and grow and be encouraged. So you're getting tips and you're being encouraged with your material. It's more than just information because you put a lot of yourself in your writing. And so it comes to life in your stories that you share, and it's beautiful work. And a book to come, it sounds like.
Ah, yes, ma'am. A book to come. True North Mike. 21 tips to start a successful podcast and expand your influence.
Aha, which ties us right into this free gift that you're sharing with us. Right on time. I was just sharing with you at the beginning of our chat that many who are joining us are jumping into this world of podcast, business growth, and what you brought to the table to support the audience. I'm just like, thank you. Want to just give us a quick introduction to what that is?
Sure thing. And the good news is the book is going to have different tips that you're not going to get in the ebook because they're going to be expanded upon. So it'll expand your brain and your information in your brain, not your waistline. Because this free gift, 21 tips to grow, start and manage a successful podcast, is a nice little tip ebook for those aspiring to start a podcast of their own from a guy who has launched over 700 wonderful episodes of his podcast, who aims to interview over 1,000 different authors across the globe. So been doing this for 6 years now, which I still can't believe. I thought I was going to do it for like 6 to 12 months to be done with it
And
and
now look
get
at you.
bored and move to the next thing. But yeah, so grab it, tell your friends about it. Maybe imagine yourself with a squirrel tail while reading it.
And remember to advance others as you advance yourself. I think we should just like put that on a big poster in every room, right? Advance others as you advance yourself. Dom Brightman. Thank you so much for joining us here. And we look for your new book and cheering you on. Go 1,000 podcasts.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
That's
I
right,
love it.
indeed. That's right, indeed.
1,000. Woo! I can't even imagine. My brain's like, whoa. So connecting to who you are at your core and being committed to operate within that space. That's what Dom Brightman brought to us today and showed us his 5 C's. I'm sure that's just scratching the surface. And he shared with us several books that he has written. Wow, good for him. And on a mission to write more and connect with more people, advancing others to advance yourself. How about that for a motto? So advance yourself by really pouring into other people. I'm going to embody that. I love that energy in that. I feel like it's amazing. And the one way that I do that is I'm supporting my fellow business builders, energy healers, a lot of energy healers building their businesses right now that I know, and the information that we can bring to you through different professionals and beautiful souls. The energy in Dom is amazing. So being able to connect, bring that to you so that you can get insights of what an application and take a look at his free gift that he shared with us about building podcasts and things he's learned, an ebook that he's sharing with us as well with that. So just things that you can use that help you and me build our businesses quicker, faster, and be able to share our gifts to the world. Gift development is what I'm about. And it's about knowing what your gifts are, how to expand them, and connect to them. Woo! Just worked with an individual today about what are their gifts and what are they really showing up and how are they showing up for them. And the breakthroughs are life-changing. When we know, the more we know about ourselves, the more empowered we are. So keep doing your thing, keep connecting and growing and doing the work. We're raising the vibration of the world together. Love each of you. Thank you for being here. And if you like this video and you got value from this video, hit the like, subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell so you get notified that the next one is live. See you at our next Table Talk.